Okay, just took my starter out of the refrigerator. It's been there completely untouched for about an entire week. It can go much longer. I've done it a month straight without tending to it. I have 75 grams right in here of starter that needs to be fed. This container, 30 grams with the lid. 30 grams without the lid, 40 grams with the lid. That doesn't matter too much, but all I'm gonna do is add 50 grams of wheat flour, 50 grams of all-purpose flour, both unbleached, and then 100 grams of water. So essentially it'll be 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water. I will do the water a little bit warmer if I only have, depending on how much time I have, that it's going to go overnight. So if it is about 12 hours, I'll do cool water. If I need to have it ready in 10 hours, I'll do a little warmer water to kind of speed up the process. Okay, so I'll add those right now. Okay, so the starter is completely mixed. It is 10 o'clock at night right now on Friday, and I typically start around 7:30 or 8 in the morning, which means that this hopefully should be ready in 10 hours, which is a little quicker than I'd like it to be, especially given that it's winter right now, so the house will run a little cooler. So that's, again, why, as I was saying, put some warm water in to warm it up. And also tighten the lids. I've noticed, I feel like when I tighten the lids, then it goes faster. I think it just traps more gas in. I heard that somewhere. Hopefully that's true. But again, I have plastic containers, so that's not an issue. If you have a mason jar or some sort of top that fastens on tight, you don't want to do that because then it can explode. So, okay, I'm gonna put them to bed and start again tomorrow morning. Okay, so this is what the starter looks like now. About 10 hours later, it's risen pretty well. Now I'm gonna be mixing the starter into a bowl with some other ingredients. So I will do 200 grams of starter. That's exactly what I added last night. So the starter should then go back to its original weight. I'll be adding 700 grams of water, 20 grams of salt, and then optionally, I add 5 grams of rosemary and a few grams of pepper, just for flavor. That's personal preference. You can do whatever you want. Once that is all mixed up, oh, and I forgot to mention, if you do ionized salt, then that will kill the yeast. So I like to use sea salt. After that, then I'll mix in additional flour. So I do 200 grams of whole wheat, just any kind of generic whole wheat is fine. This is the Target brand. And then 800 grams of King Arthur bread flour. I love the King Arthur bread flour. You can use all-purpose as well, but I think bread flour is far superior. It makes the dough a lot stronger, a lot stretchier, and I just think it makes for a better bread. If you don't want to pay for it, all-purpose is fine. You'll notice that the way the bread handles is a lot different, but having the high protein content, really important. So again, that will be a total of 1,000 grams of flour, 200 grams of starter, and then 700 grams of water. So the 700 grams to 700 grams of water to 1,000 grams of flour, that's what's called the hydration percentage. So it's 70% hydration. If you go any higher than 70, then you're probably gonna have a bread that has more holes in it or more open crumb. It's gonna be a little lighter and may rise better, but it's harder to work with. If you do under 70, then it's probably gonna be a little bit more dense, easier to work with. So you can choose whatever ratio you so desire. I like 70, some people like it higher, but you can experiment around with that. Okay, I'm gonna mix these together and be back. Okay, the other thing I wanted to demonstrate was the float test. So this is for the starter, just to make sure that the starter is ready. If you put it in water, it should float. And you can see here, part of this piece right here is floating, but it's not completely floating, and then there's a couple other pieces that I've sunk to the bottom. So that's showing me that this actually needs a little bit longer. And so I'm gonna wait on putting this starter in, probably cover it up for an extra 30 minutes or so. If I need to warm something up quick, I'll just turn the oven light on, and usually the warmth from the oven light will help warm it up and speed up the process. Okay, so here's the mixing bowl with all of the ingredients inside. I'm gonna go ahead and start to mix it with this. I prefer doing it with a spatula. And we'll just mix it. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Probably take about 5 minutes mixing it. Okay, so here's the dough after it's been mixed. It's not totally perfect. There's still kind of some parts of flour in there, but that's okay. This is technically a no knead, K-N-E-A-D technique. And so I'm gonna, at this point, let it rest for 30 to 40 minutes, and then show you what happens next to kind of make the dough a little bit more smooth. All right, so the dough has rested. I'll uncover it. I forgot to mention that I'll put a cover over it just so nothing gets in. At this point, I'm gonna do something called slap and fold to the dough, which I'll show you what that is in a minute. I'll let you look at the dough. There's still kind of some flour bits in it at this point, which is okay. Again, it's not perfectly kneaded. We'll do that in a minute. That's what it looks like. Not terribly smooth. There's still some rough parts to it. That's okay. May even be like chunks of flour. Not worried about it. So, okay, slap and fold is exactly the way it sounds. So we'll take the dough and then we will slap it and then take one edge and fold it. And you should notice with each slap and fold, the dough should get a little bit smoother and it should feel a little bit tougher as well. So at this point, there's a decent amount of strength in the dough. I can shake it out like that, it doesn't break. And then I'm folding it. It shouldn't stick to the table. If it does, then it's possible that the starter wasn't ready yet, that it was pre-peak, which means usually then the starter is a little wetter and not as strong. But it should start to feel smoother each time. So I do this about 10 times. Again, this is just to build strength and develop the gluten networks. Okay, do one more. Okay, so at this point, what I like to do is shape it into a ball. This isn't the final shaping phase. It's gonna get messed up again, but just go like this, turn it a quarter and then pull back. Maybe that's hard to see on video, but anyway. Now the bread is nice and smooth on top. There's some tension, it's holding shape. It's a little bit stronger. It's exactly what we want. There's no bits of flour, there's no inconsistencies, it's just nice and smooth. Okay, and this isn't, what I'm doing isn't for the purpose of shaping. It's just for the purpose of making sure that the top is tight. And then what I'll do is I will get under it with this little tool, put it upside down so that the flat, smooth side is at the bottom of the bowl. Lay it in, cover it up, and then I will let it rest for another 30 minutes for a series of stretch and folds after that. Okay, so the dough is rested for about 30 minutes. So now I'm gonna start the first series of stretch and folds. So I'll just go like this. I'll try to get kind of my hand under the dough a little bit, grab one piece of it, and then we'll stretch out kind of vertically, horizontally, then fold over. And then we'll just move again to the next kind of part, and do it again. Go around in a circle, and you can maybe do like 8 of these is fine. You should feel, as you do it, the dough getting stronger. So right now, it feels a little bit wetter, feels a bit like it's sticking more to my hands. But the more it stretches out, the less it'll feel that way. It'll start to feel tough and stronger, meaning it's harder for the dough to rip. So, done about, 6 so far. See, there's a little rip right there. That's all right. But this is strengthening the gluten networks. Okay. Do a couple more for good measure because it still feels a little bit loose on the bottom. So I'll do this and then let it rest for another half an hour. And then we'll do this same thing, the stretch and fold 3 times. You can do it 4 times as well. I don't think I've ever done it 5 or had to do it 5, but the more you do it, the stronger it's gonna be. So we'll just leave it like that, let it rest, and that'll be good for now. Okay, so this is after the 3rd series of stretch and folds. I'm not gonna have to do a 4th because the dough is really, really tough. So just wanna show you, you can literally lift it up by this piece and shake it, and it's incredibly strong. So it's not ripping, it's not sticking to my fingers. The bread is holding its shape. So just do a couple more just to show you how tough it is. Once your bread feels like that, again, you may need to do a 4th series of stretch and folds. Then we're just gonna leave the dough right back in there. And then at this point, we're gonna cover it with either some aluminum foil or something similar to that, just so that it doesn't dry out, because we're gonna leave it for 2.5 to 3.5 hours to rise. So it should gain at least 50% in volume, hopefully even more than that. It will rise faster if it's warmer, rise slower if it's colder, but looking for it to go anywhere between 50 to 80% increase in size. So that's it. We'll check it again in about 3 hours. So ready to take the dough out, but first have my proofing baskets ready. I have 4 of them because I've kind of doubled everything I've shown you. I have 2 longer proofing baskets, very simple Tupperware with a cloth over it, and then 2 round bowls. Usually try to do 2 round loaves, 2 longer ones. Now we'll take out the dough from here. Hopefully it's risen a good amount. Once you look at it, looks like that. It's very springy. We'll take it out. Huge glob of dough. So at this point, I'll split it in half. If you want to, you can calculate exactly. So it should be about 970 or so grams. I have that wrong. It should be 1900 or so total. So you're looking between 950 and 970 per, but I'm pretty happy to just cut it in half and guess, do it by feel. So we'll do that with this fancy little tool. Okay, that one feels a little light. I'll just cut off a little piece right there. Add it on. Call that maybe close enough. I think it needs a little bit more. Yeah. I'm I'm a little bit stubborn in not weighing that, but that's all right. Okay. So at this point, I'll just stretch it out once, nothing fancy. The main focus of what we're doing is shaping. So I will literally lay it out and just kind of pull the corners like this. You can be really perfect about this and make it, you know, equally thin in all places and perfectly round. I don't know that that's completely necessary. I just stretch it out a little bit so that I can fold it back together. But there, see, it's nice and stretched out. Feels really strong. It's still not sticking to my hands at all. And then I'll just begin to fold it in on itself, just so that we can start to get a good shape on it. So we'll go like that. Really fold each side over and on itself. See if we can get a slightly better angle. Okay. So the dough looks like that right now. And then I'm gonna continue to pull over the sides so that everything is kind of, all of the flaps are kind of coming to the same place, if that makes sense. It'll make sense in a moment when I flip it over. So this is essentially the bottom side, what is face up right here. But I'm pulling each loose end towards the middle gently, because I don't want to cause any ripping. But I want the opposite side to have a lot of surface tension. I want the dough on the other side to be tight. So you can kind of see what it looks like right there. Okay, all these pieces, then they're already ripping apart just because it's so tight. But now I will flip it over just like that, and it's perfectly smooth on this end. So now it's ready for a shape, and I see some air bubbles. I'm just gonna pop them. So I'll start to shape it. Again, just pull it. Let me back up. Pull it, shift it 90 degrees, pull it, 90, pull it, and just keep on doing that. Again, this side, a lot of surface tension. It's really, really tight. Feels like it's holding its shape. That's good. Have another little bubble. I'll pop it with a knife so it doesn't leave such a mark and a scar. And I'll just do this until I'm satisfied with how tight it's feeling. Feel like it's round. If I do it too much, then I'm gonna start to rip the surface, and I don't want to do that. So we'll just do it maybe a few more times. There we go. Okay, starting to have a little bit of surface ripping. So I'm gonna call that good. And then I will put it, so this is the top. I'm gonna put the top side down in my proofing basket. Top side down, so it will be bottoms up. And then we'll revisit that in a little bit when we tuck in the bottom. That's it for now. All right, crazy camera angle. You can tell I'm a professional. Make sure that works. Yeah, that works. Okay, perfect. That's adequate. I am, Heidi. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold over the ends of the bottom. This is what the bottom of the loaf looks like that we just shaped. And I'm gonna take the edges and pull up, fold it in. And again, this is just creating more surface tension on the opposite side. Okay, so I did one flap, rotate it 90 degrees, do another one, and then keep doing that all the way around. So just kind of doing 4 sides. And the bottom part of the flap is really, really sticky, because that's the part of the bread that doesn't have any surface tension in it. Okay, so we've done 4 sides. Now it kind of looks like a square. You can see that. So I'm gonna pull the corners as well so that it has more of a circular shape. And this will really help with the rising process as well. When you bake, it'll just make it that it's nice and round. So here I'm taking one corner, again, not pulling too hard because I don't want to rip it, and folding over. I try to widen it a bit as well. Third corner here. Tuck it in. And last corner. Okay. All right, perfect. So at this point, I'm gonna cover it up and I'll put it in the fridge. And then after I put it in the fridge, I have waited up to 12 or 14 hours with it in the fridge, never done over 24. I will take it out to bake in 6 hours. I'm not worried about it over rising in the fridge because with the cooler temperatures, it slows down that process. So popping this in the fridge, we'll be taking it out. Actually tonight, we'll be taking it out in about 5 hours to bake it. Okay. Okay, just took the bread out from the refrigerator. It's been about 5 hours since they went in. One of the reasons that we put it in the refrigerator is just so that it holds its shape. If it stays cold for a while, it will hold its shape a little bit better. So, let you take a look at them right there. And again, that's 1 bowl's worth of bread. Like we split that one in half. And what I'll do is just put some flour on it. While I'm doing this, I'll talk about baking. So I bake at 475 degrees and bake in a Dutch oven. So I'll put these in the Dutch oven, always with this parchment paper. And then we'll do it for 20 minutes with the lid on in the Dutch oven, and then 20 minutes with the lid off. The Dutch ovens are in the oven right now, warming, so that when the bread gets in, those things are piping hot. So 20 minutes lid on, 20 minutes lid off, and that's pretty much it. And then we're good to go. The only other thing that I need to do here is I'm gonna make some cuts in the bread and just score it like that, really deep. And that's so that it rises really well, that the bread has somewhere to rise to. If you don't do that, then the bread will explode out the side. It won't be very pretty. You can do some nice designs on that. Emma usually does that. Well, I'm not even showing the bread. There we go. Now you can see the bread. You can score it in whatever way that you so desire. Okay, that's it. We'll show the finished product and then we'll be all done. And finally, there's the finished product. 2 beautiful loaves. And then, like I mentioned, since I doubled the recipe, we'll have 2 more popping in the oven. There you go. There's the process, recipe, all of that. Hope it was helpful.